In eastern Nepal, nestled between the wild embrace of the jungle and the constant flow of rivers, there was a place called Goldhap. It was a small refugee camp, but its heart was immense. For years it was home to around 4,600 Bhutanese refugees, people who had been forced to leave their homeland behind. They arrived with little more than the clothes on their backs and the memories in their hearts, seeking safety and a place to simply exist. Goldhap was that place. It was a collection of simple bamboo and thatch huts, but it was also a sanctuary, a new beginning built from the ashes of a painful past. The camp stood as a testament to the idea that home is not just a place, but the people you share it with. The location of Goldhap was unique, a world suspended between untamed nature and modern life. The dense jungle, alive with the sounds of unseen animals and the rustling of ancient trees, bordered one side of the camp. The mighty Mechi and Dunia rivers flowed nearby, their waters a source of life and a constant reminder of nature's power. Yet this wilderness was not completely isolated. The bustling town of Burtamud and the Badrapur airport were just a short journey away, connecting the refugees to the wider world. This strange mix of jungle and town, of isolation and connection, shaped the lives of everyone who lived there, teaching them to be resourceful, adaptable, and always aware of the world just beyond their temporary homes. The story of Goldhap is one of constant change, a river that never stops flowing. In 2002, the camp was full, a bustling community trying to make a life in difficult circumstances. But then, a new chapter began. The Third Country Resettlement Program opened a door to a different future, and thousands of refugees began to leave for countries like the United States, Canada, and Australia. Families packed their few belongings, said tearful goodbyes, and set off to build new lives once again. As the population dwindled, the camp itself transformed. Eventually, Goldhap merged with the larger Beldangi camp, its huts and paths becoming a memory. But its spirit was carried across the world by those who once called it home. Despite the hardships, the community that grew in Goldhap was incredibly strong. It was a place where differences were set aside for the common good. People of various faiths, Hindus, Buddhists, and Christians, lived side by side, celebrating each other's festivals and supporting one another through times of sorrow. They did not simply wait for help to arrive, they created it themselves. They formed organizations to advocate for their rights, to ensure their voices were heard, and to fight for a future where they could live with dignity. This unity was their greatest strength, a powerful force that allowed them to face every challenge with courage and a shared sense of purpose. It was a community forged in struggle, bound by resilience. Life in a refugee camp is fragile, a truth the people of Goldhap knew all too well. Their resilience was tested not just by the daily struggles of displacement, but by devastating disasters that threatened to destroy everything they had rebuilt. In March 2008, a terrible fire swept through the camp. The flames, fed by the dry bamboo huts and strong winds, moved with terrifying speed. In a matter of hours, a huge part of the camp was reduced to smoldering ash. Families lost their homes, their possessions, and their sense of security. The fire left a deep scar on the community, a painful reminder of how quickly their world could be turned upside down. The fire was a catastrophe, leaving over 1,000 families homeless and facing an uncertain future. The air was thick with the smell of smoke and despair as people sifted through the blackened ruins of their lives, searching for anything that might have survived. But even in this moment of profound loss, the spirit of Goldhap refused to be extinguished. Neighbors helped neighbors, sharing what little they had left. Aid organizations rushed to provide food, shelter, and medical care. The community pulled together, turning their collective grief into a shared determination to rebuild. They knew that their homes were gone, but their community remained, and that was the foundation they would build upon once more. Tragically, the disaster of 2008 was not the only one. In 2011, another major fire broke out, once again bringing destruction and heartache to the camp. It was a cruel blow, a second wave of devastation for a community that had already endured so much. For many, it felt like an impossible challenge, a test of faith and endurance that seemed too great to bear. The fires exposed the vulnerability of life in the camp, where homes made of simple, flammable materials stood close together, creating a constant risk. These disasters were more than just accidents. They were a harsh reflection of the precarious conditions that refugees are forced to live in every single day. Yet from these ashes of despair, something remarkable rose. The fires, in their destructive fury, also forged an even stronger sense of solidarity among the people of Goldhap. They learned that their true strength was not in their individual huts, but in their connections to one another. The shared experience of loss and rebuilding created unbreakable bonds. They organized fire safety drills, worked together to create better fire breaks between their homes, and became more vigilant. The hardship did not break them, it made them more resilient. It taught them that even when flames consume all that you own, the fire of the human spirit can never be put out. In the heart of Goldhap, there was a belief that education was the key to a better future. This belief was brought to life at the Blooming Lotus English School. It was more than just a school. It was a beacon of hope. Here, children who had lost their homes and their country could find a new world in the pages of a book. The classrooms were simple, but the lessons taught within them were powerful. Students learned English, mathematics, and science, subjects that would open doors for them no matter where they ended up. The school was a promise that their lives would not be defined by their past, but by the potential they held within them. The teachers at Blooming Lotus were not just instructors, they were mentors and role models. Many of them were refugees themselves, who understood the unique challenges their students faced. They fostered an environment where children felt safe to learn, to ask questions, and to dream. The school also focused on developing leadership skills, encouraging students to become active participants in their community. They were taught to think critically, to solve problems, and to believe in their own ability to create change. Many of the young leaders who emerged from the camp, advocating for refugee rights and organizing community projects, got their start in the humble classrooms of Blooming Lotus. Alongside modern education, the community made sure to preserve its cultural and spiritual heritage. The Pathsala, or traditional school, played a vital role in this. Here, elders passed down ancient scriptures, taught traditional music and dance, and shared the stories and values that had been part of their culture for generations. It was a place where children connected with their roots, ensuring that the Bhutanese identity would not be lost in exile. The Pathsala and Blooming Lotus existed side by side, representing the beautiful balance the community struck between honoring their past and preparing for the future. They understood that to know where you are going, you must first know where you come from. This nurturing environment also sparked incredible creativity. A group called IFACA Bhutan, or International Forum for Artists, Culture and Literature, was born from this spirit. It was an art collective that gave young people a voice through painting, drawing, and sculpture. It was a space for them to process their experiences, to express their hopes, and to share their stories with the world. IFACA Bhutan taught more than just artistic techniques. It taught life skills like teamwork, perseverance, and self-confidence. One of its most well-known members, Govinda Dongana, began his artistic journey in the camp and has since become a respected artist, his work telling the powerful story of his people. The story of Goldhap is ultimately a story of hope. It is about a community that faced unimaginable loss, the loss of a country, of homes, and of loved ones, and yet refused to surrender to despair. Hope was not a passive wish, it was an active force. It was seen in the farmer tending to a small vegetable garden behind his hut, a tiny patch of green in a world of dust. It was heard in the laughter of children playing games on the camp's narrow paths, their joy a defiant sound against the backdrop of hardship. Hope was the quiet determination to get up each morning and build a life, even when the future was completely unknown. This hope was fueled by an incredible resilience. The people of Goldhap were masters of adaptation. They learned to build homes from bamboo and plastic sheets, to cook with limited rations, and to find joy in the simplest of things. When fires destroyed their homes, they rebuilt them. When resettlement scattered their community across the globe, they found new ways to stay connected through letters and phone calls. This resilience was not about being unbreakable. It was about knowing how to put the pieces back together after being broken. It was a quiet strength, passed down from parents to children, a survival skill learned through lived experience. The spirit of Goldhap lives on, even though the camp itself is gone. It lives on in the thousands of former residents who are now building new lives in countries all over the world. They carry with them the lessons they learned in the camp, the importance of community, the value of education, and the power of an unyielding spirit. They are doctors, artists, engineers, and community leaders, contributing to their new societies while never forgetting the journey that brought them there. They are living proof that a refugee is not just someone who flees, but someone who endures, adapts, and ultimately thrives. The legacy of Goldhap is a powerful reminder of human courage and kindness. It shows that even in the most challenging circumstances, people can come together to create a community of support and love. The people of Goldhap fought for a better future, not just for themselves, but for their children and for generations to come. Their story is not one of victimhood, but of strength. It is a tale of a small camp with a giant heart, a community that faced the darkness and chose to light a candle of hope, a flame that continues to burn brightly in the hearts of all who once called Goldhap home.